And the rest we're tossing. It's not with everybody here. They're still learning that lesson. It's the major one that Gurdjieff taught. He said, recognize that everybody is you. It's the same. That what they're going through, you also went through at one time. What they're feeling, you may be feeling next Tuesday, if you're not feeling it now. Don't be so hard on them, and don't be so hard on yourself. Gurdjieff said this wonderful statement, nothing is your fault. It's the fault of conditioning and circumstances and past karma. So don't be so hard, he would tell us. And most of the people who've been here for a long time have eased up considerably on others and on themselves. It was the great lesson Gurdjieff taught about the importance of unity at this ashram. We're not always able to do it, but we keep trying. And trying is rewarded, we have found out. I'm going to do this, okay. So suffering or malcontent occurs when we refuse to accept the train of events and demand that they be different. There are many psychological exercises that can ameliorate our suffering. But ultimately, it comes down to one question. What does the experience teach me? And not what should someone else learn from this experience. What does this experience that I've been through that has caused suffering, what's the lesson in it for me? Never mind, that other person has to find out for herself or himself. I'm not here to teach others. I'm here to watch myself until I can finally say that at least the denial is gone or has been transformed. I'm still working on it. If we unflinchingly look negativity in the eye, we will see that always we bear to some degree responsibility for its occurrence, looking negativity in the eye. We do bear to some degree, responsibility for that negativity in ourselves. He's talking to each one of us. And this is all based on Ramana Maharshi's teachings. If we unflinchingly look negativity in the eye, we will see that always we bear to some degree responsibility for its occurrence. However minuscule our participation, we could have anticipated its disruption and taken remedial action. Not to do anything is an action. That's a new thought. Not to do anything is an action. Passivity in the face of choice is consent. I will say that many times when I worked in a clinic for the emotionally disturbed, and a child had been punished or abused or mistreated by one parent, he didn't or she didn't blame the abusive parent, the one who took action, as much as the grown adult blamed the passive mother or the passive father who did nothing to stop the abuse. He blamed that one more. The other one he just felt was a loss of temper, that he was a mean-spirited father or mother. But the real blame he gave to the one who passively did nothing out of fear. I mean, later on they came to realize the other one's probably afraid. But interesting, the passivity was taken as the greater neglect and the greater reason to be angry. Passivity in the face of choice is consent. We are doomed to commit the same mistake over and over again until we learn this. Those who don't know history are destined to repeat it. So how do we reconcile Bhagavan's injunction to remain silent, because fate will happen however much we try to avoid it. What then of the advice to actively change our conduct by accepting responsibility for that which happens anyway? This is a conundrum that can be answered simply by another question. How identified are we with our body and mind? The moment we realize that our quandary is based on ignorance, we can see clearly. The moment we realize that our quandary is based on ignorance, we can see clarity is of the essence. The moment we realize that our quandary is based on ignorance, then we can see that we need to be clear. We have to be clear. That's essential. That's why you all know the answer. That's why we meditate. In case you didn't know, that's why we meditate. That's why we perform devotions and act to the best of our ability without an ulterior motive. The purified mind sees all its activities clearly. The purified mind sees all its activities clearly and accepts that which our desires and fears have obscured. To see clearly releases us from the chains of identification. So it's no longer a question of responsibility, because the sattvic, the peaceful mind, the clear mind, the pure mind, now has developed the power of attention to realize the source of the I am. The I, the internal absolute I am, has no name, no form, and therefore I would give a reward to anybody who can finish the sentence. The pure mind has no name and no form, and therefore no... What? Did anybody say karma? The karma is only for the body, mind, and senses. That's why when these gurus become ill, they don't say they're ill at all. They say, oh, the body has become ill. Body's going through the aging process. But I'm perfectly fine, however you look depressed, you know. Anything wrong? But they don't identify with the body, whether it's young and vibrant and beautiful, or aging and ill and on its deathbed. They do not feel attached or identified with that. This is the key. This is the thing. The key, I'll read the last sentence, that witnessing I, or that absolute I, has no name and no form, and therefore no karma. The key is consciousness. Consciousness is indivisible. One is either conscious or one is not. There is no partial consciousness. It is not a quality or a quantity. It is the one constant, not subject to change, and as such is unaffected by the laws of cause and effect. For us to exist, we cannot not be conscious. For us to exist, we cannot not be conscious. We cannot know it as separate from ourselves. We can only become that consciousness itself. When we realize it, it makes no difference then whether our desires are fulfilled or not, whether our minds are happy or sad, or whether our body experiences pain or pleasure. Whether we are an Ismay or a Gandhiji, it makes no difference, although we reap the reward with our bodies and minds for the choices we have made. We get our bodies and minds reap the rewards. But we don't need any rewards. We are perfect and complete as we are, as pure consciousness. That's what we're being told here. The coward and the fool are part of our nature, as are the hero and wise one. Arjun's predicament on the battlefield is the same as ours. He didn't want to fight his relatives. Our thoughts are our relatives. Our enemies are our negativities. Our task is to see directly that consciousness is peerless. It is untouched. Consciousness is that without a second, what we call Advaita, non-dualism. Consciousness is that without a second, meaning it stands alone. To do this, to see directly that consciousness is peerless, it is untouched, it is that without a second, to do this demands only that we be silently alert with all our heart and let loose the arrow of intention. Let loose the arrow of intention. What does that mean? If you can explain that, we'll end the reading right here. This is the end of the reading anyway. To do this demands that we be silently alert, meaning to see that consciousness is untouched, and that's what we are. So we don't have to be concerned about karma. The karma of the body, mind, and senses we have to be concerned about. And that we do by being silently alert with all our heart and let loose the arrow of intention. What does that mean? I love that. What does that mean? Don't be afraid to answer. Listen, some of you know this because I've said it often enough. One of the reasons I'm popular here is because I tell everybody he or she is right. Because we are all right. I never, as somebody presenting this material, this is an honor to do this. Our guru, said we have to carry on these teachings. He doesn't have a voice to do that. He uses our voices. So it's an honor. It's exciting to present these teachings. And that's why I love them as much as I do. But I never feel that I know more than you. What I feel is maybe different from what you feel, but it's all right. It's all genuine. Your understanding, wherever you are, should never be criticized, because who's criticizing that if I'm criticizing? What's doing that? That's right, you can whisper it, your ego, she said. Your ego. Of course it's my ego. It's only an ego that thinks it knows something, that it thinks it's right and you're not. I wouldn't be caught with that showing. So don't be afraid to say, what does it mean? Let loose that arrow of intention. That's marvelous. What does it mean? Jeevani, you know? Well, no. You just, who knows? Oh, tell.
My interpretation is
Yes.
that,
Remember, I'll say you're right, so it's okay.
that's great. So I think, number one, we need to be quiet, and that way we'll become more intimate with our destiny, so we can hear, like, sit in silence and hear it, and then point yourself in the right direction. Just kind of aim where you think you're going. That's my
And it's wonderful. You are absolutely right. I'm not sure that we have to aim so hard. He said, let it loose, let it fly. Not to be afraid. There you go. Let it happen, whatever it is. If your ulterior motive is pure, it will go to a good place. You'll go up and up and up. Because we're told all the time, just make sure, silently alert to what our motivation is. And to watch when negativity occurs in our life, to check what part we played in that. And that's all we have to be concerned about. Not someone else's negativity. That's his problem. We have enough of our own to deal with. Okay, thank you very much. See? Anybody else? Quickly? Yes.
Stay focused and, sorry. Stay focused, but also let yourself lose your grip.
Stay focused, but at the same time, let yourself lose your grip. Don't be afraid to let it fly. Let things happen. This is such a good place to continue this discussion, but we're not. Because Deepak and his accompanist are waiting, and I know it's going to be a beautiful concert. Amalama and Ashok always request Deepak to come because he lends such authenticity, as does Rupji, in the realm of music and in the realm of yoga. So close your eyes just for 1 minute. Let's prove to ourselves that we don't need a whole lot of time to be in the eternal, ever-present now, which will release all that is bound in us. Take a very deep inhalation and slowly release the breath. This will be 1 minute of that silent alertness to experience what your body is feeling, how your senses have perhaps come alive through these teachings tonight. And the condition of your mind. Don't judge it, just see it with affection. Krishna Devi, if you're here, would you lead us in our traditional prayer? No? All right. You can follow Tracy.